The hits just keep coming, and I'm not talking about the lineup. Hunter Greene is injured again.
You are Locked On Reds, your daily Cincinnati Reds podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi, I'm Jeff. He's Steve. And on today's Locked On Reds podcast, we are going to talk about the fact that the Reds have won 10 of 14. We're going to look at what's next after this A's series as the Reds head to Washington and the gauntlet of September and all the different things that are going to be happening. But we're also going to celebrate Rhett Lowder really starting to turn a corner here. He pitched very well on Wednesday night, but we have to begin with the bad news of Hunter Greene yet again. And that's all on today's episode that is brought to you by FanDuel. Join all the action at FanDuel.com to play daily dingers and make your free pick on who's hitting a homer the rest of the way this MLB season. Steve, we have elbow soreness, or not we, not you, not me. Hunter Greene does in his throwing elbow, right elbow. He's hitting the 15-day IL. He's already had an MRI. And he is heading to Los Angeles to talk to Dr. Neal ElAttrache for a second opinion. And I don't know about you, but I ain't never got a second opinion on a bruise.
Yeah, this sounds like it's going to be bad. I'm not going to speculate. I'm not going to say the ugly words until somebody affiliated with the team says the ugly words. And in fact, Nick Krall deflected. He was asked just straight outright directly to comment on the initial MRI, and he declined to do so. He said he's going to wait for the second opinion and let the doctors sort it all out. It sounds really bad. Here's the thing, Jeff. We're now 2 legit ace level starting pitchers down with injury. We've got one that can't overcome the blister issue. We've got another one that
but he's rehabbing.
Stop it. We've got another one whose elbow is in a perpetual state of injury, it seems. This is bad. It makes me wonder. Now, they're saying that Hunter Greene felt something on Tuesday when he threw his side, but it makes me wonder if the Reds were already aware of this heading into the trade deadline, and this is the reason why they didn't trade Brady Singer.
Yeah, because they knew they were going to need somebody, not for Chase Burns, but for Hunter Greene in this case. And honestly, there was a quote from Nick Krall that would corroborate that idea, because Nick Krall, and this is in the article that Mark Sheldon had on Reds.com, Nick Krall said, quote, "He's had a couple of elbow things throughout this season." Steve, I thought there was only one of those. Anyway, continuing the quote, "He's had some other stuff throughout the last couple of seasons. We know we're going to get him on the right track and get him back. Hopefully he'll be in games sooner rather than later." Steve, this team has completely sucked the positivity out of me. I know they've won 10 of 14. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to the performance on the field, but the off the field stuff has flattened me. And this is another thing that has flattened me, because the way that Nick Krall is speaking here, it's like somebody who knows how bad it's going to be and trying to soften the blow. And for me, that makes me think it's going to be Tommy John. That makes me think he's going to be out until 2028. That makes me think that once again, we are talking about the guy who was supposed to be the ace of the staff, the guy who was supposed to be the leader of this starting rotation, yet again being out for an extended period of time because he cannot stay healthy. And yet all we are continuing to hear, oh, it's okay. It's fine. He's going to be back soon. It's okay. I don't think it's okay.
No, here's the thing. They put him on the 15-day injured list. If he's not ready to pitch 16 days from now, or whatever that was retroactive to, if he's not ready to pitch 16 days from that date, they need to shut him down for the year. even if there is some potential for him to come back.
Not a lot of the year left.
Already
Yeah.
16 days from now puts us to mid-August. He would have, if he is not ready to go, then you're probably talking about September before you get him back. And that's after a rehab start. The way the Reds are doing rehab starts around here, that'll just be one. But I just don't see a need to bring him back for a September gauntlet that has them playing the Dodgers and then the Brewers and then the Dodgers and then the Brewers. There's no reason to bring Hunter Greene back for that. Let's just go out there and take that curb stomping like we're gonna. No need to rush Hunter Greene back.
It's so annoying though, and like this is like you talking about him not being available at the trade deadline. It's because he wouldn't have passed a physical. And going back to Nick Krall's quotes of like he's had a couple of elbow things throughout the season. I remember that he had bone chips that he got cleaned out, something that he had apparently since last October, and they said that they just took some medicine and thought that would make it go away, and they failed to treat it all the way back then. It feels like that has evolved into where we are now.
Let's be fair. Let's be fair there, Jeff. Be fair. Be fair. They didn't fail to treat it. Hunter Greene elected to not have surgery.
Right.
Tarek Skubal had the same injury and elected to go get it cleaned out, and he was back in 8 weeks. Hunter Greene elected to not do it that way, elected to go all the way to spring training, elected to try and let it heal itself, showed up at spring training, and guess what? His elbow still hurt. So Hunter Greene created this path that we're on. I am all for bashing the Reds medical staff. You guys know that everydayers. I do not hold back when it comes to how they've handled lots of things. But in this regard, we're going to be fair. And these are the choices that Hunter Greene has made. And it's why Mark Sheldon wrote the articles that he wrote, questioning the relationship between Hunter and the team, outlining the fact that the team is frustrated with Hunter Greene. And then here we are right back in this place. But I think you're absolutely right. Nick Krall is softening the blow right now. I don't think we see Hunter Greene again this year.
No, and honestly, if it's whatever light version of an elbow injury he could have that's not Tommy John, maybe it's more bone chips, maybe it's something else, that still means that he's not going to be back in 2 weeks. And so I agree, they should absolutely shut him down. For me, this unequivocally puts Chase Burns in the ace seat. He is unequivocally the ace. There is no argument anymore, because who knows when we're getting Hunter Greene back. And Steve, in the 5 games that we got from Hunter Greene here in 2026, he was very mid. I understand that his fielding independent pitching was much better than his ERA, but you could tell at times that he did not look like he was all there. And part of that could have been, well, he needed a longer rehab process. But would the longer rehab process have revealed these injuries as well? Then that could have been another issue too. And oh, by the way, there's still the Nick Lodolo of this all, where they're still trying to figure out if he's got a new breaking ball that he's going to probably throw in AAA for one start and then get called up. And
that's probably what that rehab's about, right? To see how it plays against live hitters, even if it is.
I gotta
AAA
believe
hitters.
that, because what are you rehabbing a blister for? Like, it's
Right.
either there or it's not. Like,
Right.
yeah.
Here's a concern that I have, Jeff, now with this Hunter Greene news. So Nick Lodolo, suspect at best right now.
Right.
Hunter Greene now out. Are we sure they'll shut Chase Burns down? Are we sure? Are we sure they will? At this point, I think they might Mark Pryor him. They're out of pitchers. Unless they go get somebody off the scrap heap to take a rotation spot, you're talking about the potential of having to cover 3 rotation spots heading through August and September. I'm not convinced the Reds will shut him down, even though it's what they should do. I don't know that they will.
That is sobering, because you're right. Like, if you're asking me to say what they will do, not what should happen, not what other teams would do, what the Reds would do, I cannot disagree that they would likely just continue to pitch him through the rest of the season, because they shouldn't. That is exactly what they shouldn't do with Chase Burns. They should manage his career the way that they were going to manage his career at the beginning of this season. And the needs of the roster notwithstanding, that's their fault for not having more depth in this system. The good news is Brandon Williamson is working his way back on a rehab stint. Maybe he will be available as well to pitch. Who knows what that's going to look like? Because again, he was a guy that was coming off of lots of injuries, and he was on the injured list for a while this year too. So it's not as if we're talking about the pictures of durability returning to the Reds rotation. But at the same point, like, the Reds cannot trade the needs of the roster for one man's career. But I agree with you. I cannot say right now, as of August 5th, that I believe the Reds would make the right decision in that, because they've made the wrong decisions for a week straight. And that includes the owner of the team interrupting a press conference to tell us that everything is fine, in his own words.
Right. We're gonna get to that. But we're gonna try and bring this up a little bit, guys. It has been rough.
Been a week of down.
Days. But Hunter Greene's injury has implications for the short term and the long term of the Cincinnati Reds future. But there is one guy in the rotation right now that is seemingly finally starting to figure it out after a long break. Rhett Lowder getting things done. We're going to talk about him coming up next.
You got to check out Daily Dingers over on FanDuel. The very next game that you're watching, if you feel good about a player going yard in that game, you can make your pick over on FanDuel. It's a free pick. And if you win, you get a boost to your next bet, which you can check out the daily games, the money lines, the player props, all those different things. Or you can look at some futures. I don't know why you would want to boost 300 to 1, but hey, the Reds are at 300 to 1 to win the NL Central right now. Yeah, the only two teams that they really have any close to winning are on the odds are the Brewers at minus 450 and the Cubs at plus 310. Reds at 300 to 1. So you're saying there's a chance, especially if you play Daily Dingers over on FanDuel and win and get yourself a boost for your next bet. That's all over at FanDuel.com.
You already live the Cincinnati Reds every day. Elevate your game. Join the Everydayer Club. LockedOnPodcast.com/everydayer. You'll get ad-free Locked On Reds in the audio feed. Plus, you're going to get access to kind of a hangout thing that we're going to do. We're going to get that out to the folks that are in the Everydayer Club. We're going to hang out. It's not for recording, not for posting, just to hang out and talk ball. We're going to add that to the Everydayer Club. Maybe we're not even going to talk Reds. Maybe we'll do it about the Bengals, Jeff. I don't know. Anyway, it's $5 a month at $50 a year. We're going to have fun in there. We're going to keep it upbeat. We'll have a beverage and talk story, as they say out here in the islands. The link for that is down in the show description. All right, Jeff, 6 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs. Not a bad stat line for Rhett Lowder in his start against the A's. In fact, his last couple of starts have looked pretty good. I think he's finally figuring it out. And, I don't know that he's ever going to be better than like a third or fourth starter, but I think he could be a really good third or fourth starter as he continues to evolve, continues to get better, continues to get the rust off, and continues to find ways to get guys out. I think the best version of Rhett Lowder is the one that doesn't try to get strikeouts, that pitches to weak contact, lets the defense work for him, and keeps his team in the game. And I think Rhett Lowder can be that for a long period of time.
Yeah, I think that where we were really down on the pitching staff in the first segment, talking about Greene's injury and Lodolo's injury and Chase Burns and he needs to be shut down soon and all this other stuff. Rhett Lowder's the guy that starts to bring this back up again, because especially if you're talking about, can the Reds get one of Greene or Lodolo right? You add that to Chase Burns, you add that to Andrew Abbott, and then you bring in Rhett Lowder, then you are talking about 4 starting pitchers that you really trust. And then the 5th starting pitcher can just be, whoever has got the hot hand amongst Brandon Williamson and Chase Petty and a bunch of other guys into next season, because Rhett Lowder makes you feel a lot better about that 4th rotation spot. Steve, there's an update with Rhett Lowder over these last couple of starts as you watch him that I have been very, very encouraged by. We talked a lot about he doesn't really seem to have an out pitch, at least early on in the season. Kind of felt like he was easily getting to 2 strikes. He was easily filling up the strike zone, making the at-bat feel as though it was going to be efficient. and then he would nibble a little bit, and then he would try to waste a pitch here or there, and then he would try to throw a strike or something like that would get fouled off. And before you know it, he's thrown 6, 7, 8, 9 pitches to this one guy, which really kills the rest of his pitch count for the rest of the game. And then he does that 2 or 3 more times, and then he's only throwing like 4 innings. Now he has built this slider that seems to be the pitch that when he needs to get out of an at-bat, it's not necessarily like, boy, he's striking everybody out with this pitch, but when he needs to end an at-bat, he goes to his slider, and his slider has been so good here recently for him. I am very encouraged by that development because I think that makes him sustainable.
Yeah, it's like what I was saying. He's not going to overpower guys. If he can continue to just pitch to weak contact, miss barrels, right? We talked about that all the time. We talk about missing barrels. That's the key to success for Rhett Lowder. And I'm really encouraged by what we've seen from him in his last several starts. And I think that, he's got enough innings left in the tank to get through the rest of the season. He's appeared in 20 ball games, 17 of those starts. He had that little brief bullpen stint there before the All-Star break, but he's only sitting right now after that, his most recent start against the A's. He's sitting at 89 innings right now. I think he has enough left in the tank to get through September. This team's not going to the postseason, so I'm not worried about having something left in the tank. He's just got to get to the end of September. I think that he can do that. And there's enough opportunity for him to continue to work on things and continue to get himself positioned for being that solid 4th guy in the rotation next season, whenever that may be.
Yeah, and I think that he is starting to show that scouting report as well. Because like you mentioned, like he did a pretty decent job at limiting the walks today. That's just going to be his key moving forward. Just limit the walks. He's going to give up a hit here or there, but as long as he's giving up a hit here or there with bases empty, then he's all right. I mean, the first at bat that he had on Wednesday night's game was Lawrence Butler crushing a home. And I think everybody immediately thought, oh boy, here we go. But he buckled down. And then the only thing he allowed after that was just an RBI double. I think it was in the 6th inning as well. So it was toward the end of his night, but he pitched phenomenal around that. And I talked about his slider, at least according to Baseball Savant, he threw that 41% of the time. He got swings and misses on that 27% of the time and did a really good job too of just limiting that hard contact. Like we mentioned, that's the key for him moving forward. Average exit velocity. It was put in ball. It was the ball was put in play 7 different times on that slider. There was only 1 hit, and the average exit velocity on it was 80 miles an hour. That's a a light hit. So because average exit velocity for a major league hitter these days is 88.3 miles an hour. So that's really good to see. If he continues that, he's going to be that guy that you feel really good about moving forward, because I think that it was easy to ascribe the same expectations to Rhett Lowder that we had to Chase Burns, since they were both first-round picks that made it to the major leagues very quickly. But they are 2 very different pitchers, and they are 2 very different ceilings as of pitchers, but they are 2 very valuable pitchers for this Reds team moving forward.
Yeah, you look at how he slots into this rotation, right? We know heading into 2027. We know that Chase Burns slots in as the number 1 guy in this rotation heading into 2027. We know that you can slot Rhett Lowder in probably as the number 4 guy in this rotation in 2027. And you can slot Andrew Abbott in as probably the number 3 guy. So you're really going to need to decide if you've got a number 2 starter on this staff or not. Hunter Greene, Nick Lodolo. We talked about that. I don't know that you can safely and with confidence say that either one of those guys are going to slot in. Number 5 is also a question. Hopefully there's somebody that will present themselves. Somebody will kind of step up and grab that. Is it Brandon Williamson? Is it Julian Aguiar? Is it somebody that we haven't seen in a while that can step forward and grab that 5th spot? So while it feels pretty depressing right now to look at how the rotation has played out in 2026, especially if you go back to February and remember where we were right when things were getting started and what it looked like on paper, it has felt a little down. But when you start to look forward at the guys that you can rely on, at the guys that you think you can count on in the next year, it's not as bad as you would believe when you look at the results of 2026. So Rhett Lowder getting it done really gives me encouragement. What Andrew Abbott has done really gives me encouragement. The fact that there are some guys working their way back in Williamson and Aguiar and some other dudes gives me some hope that they can fill out most of this rotation. And who knows? Maybe they'll keep Brady Singer. Maybe they will give him a qualifying offer. And if they do, he would be a lunatic to not jump on that. Like before the word offer even finishes coming out of Nick Krall's mouth, Brady should say, where do I sign? So if you get Brady Singer, there's your number 3 guy. Maybe you move up Andrew Abbott and you're looking at a rotation of Burns, Abbott, Singer, Lowder, and one of Aguiar and Williamson heading into the future. That's not a terrible rotation. I could be okay with that.
Something tells me if they end the season with both Greene and Lodolo on the IL, then we'll probably see the qualifying offer given to Brady Singer. So
yep,
that'll be intriguing to see. But I know this, the Reds have won 10 of 14 games, and if they are able to sweep the A's on Thursday, and then they've got a shot against the Nationals this weekend, could we be talking about the Reds over 500 next week? There's some things coming up next that, I mean, this could get really interesting.
A big thank you to our friends at Amazon for this limited break. This back-to-school season, spend less on your kids with Amazon. We all know how crazy the back-to-school shopping experience can be. It starts with a few items on the list, and then suddenly you're shopping for supplies, clothes, lunch gear, tech, and about 10 other things that you didn't even see coming. It really adds up fast. When you look at school supplies and you wonder, what are we doing? We're buying for everybody. This is all for just one kid. It's like you're opening a small office supply store with everything that's on the list just for one of your children. I didn't realize that a first grader required so much inventory. Shopping like this can get out of control if you're not careful. So remember, with Amazon's low back to school prices, spend less money on your kids with Amazon, because every dollar that you don't spend on them is a dollar that you haven't spent on them. Shop back to school at Amazon and spend less on your kids.
You can keep the conversation going with us after the show is over on social media. You can follow me on X or on TikTok at Jeff Carr with 3 Fs. You can follow Steve on X at S Offenbaker with 2 Fs. And you can follow the show at Locked On Reds on X, TikTok, Instagram, all the different social medias. We're on all of them. So follow the show at Locked On Reds.
I heard MySpace is coming back. Are we going to have a MySpace?
MySpace.
That's in my lane.
Yeah, just your space. No MySpace, just your space. Oh my gosh, I'm ready for all the dad jokes with MySpace. That's going to be funny. When it comes to what's been happening here recently, like, you want to talk about bipolar. Off the field, the Reds couldn't be any more depressing. On the field, some things are happening. They've won 10 of 14. They've won 5 out of 6 series. Like I mentioned, they got a chance here. We're recording this before Thursday's game, so we got a chance to sweep the Oakland A's. Not Oakland. Didn't even say that
you did it.
Yeah, didn't even say that sarcastically. Money in the jar. But they also have the Washington Nationals coming up. The Nationals put James Wood on the IL. He will not be part of that series, and they did trade some pitching at the deadline. They also have the Chicago White Sox next week. That'll be a tough series. But then they go through a bunch of sellers. They go through a good, strong stretch with Miami and St. Louis, and they play the Giants. There's like a 3-week stretch here, Steve, that begins with Washington, that they've got a shot to really put together a winning record and at least make things look interesting before they go to Chicago and the gauntlet begins. Because, I mean, we keep talking about the gauntlet of September. The gauntlet of September actually begins August 28th whenever they go to Chicago, because then it's Cubs, Padres, Brewers, Dodgers, Cubs, Braves, Blue Jays. But, I mean, before that gauntlet, they've got 3 weeks that they can make some hay.
Let's look. We're trying to be positive. We're trying to, just not be Debbie Downers, but let's just call this what it is. August has the opportunity to give us a little baseball fun before we get our teeth kicked in September. That is what is going to happen. Will the Reds creep back into this thing? Look, they're 4.5 games out. But, you talk about Miami. Miami's a game and a half out of the wild card. They're not a pushover. Some of this stretch in August is not a pushover schedule. So the way I see this playing out is we'll have some nice moments. We'll have some fun. We'll enjoy some August baseball here in the dog days. We'll head into September, and that's going to kind of do it, folks. I'm going to have fun. There's going to be things to root for in September. Every day is going to be fun watching Sal Stewart and rooting for him, trying to go lock down this rookie of the year. As long as Chase Burns is pitching, I'm going to keep watching to see how he does, even if the Reds don't shut him down. God help us. There's going to be fun things to watch. What's Elly do with the rest of the season? Does JJ Bleday prove everybody right about him that wanted to keep him around, or does he not? What's the end of Tyler Stevenson's Reds run look like now that we know he's going to be here through the end of the season? There'll be stuff to watch in September, but a challenge for a wild card is not going to be one of them.
Yeah, that's the funny thing about the stretch of success that the Reds have kind of put together here. And I still say that knowing they're under 500 and last in the division, because you have Bob dropping in on a post-game press conference whenever they're talking to Tito.
Are we gonna talk about that? Are we going to talk about that right now?
I really tried not to, but I can't hold it in anymore. What are we doing? Why on earth is he trying to tell us that we're good?
Did Bob know where he was? Like, if you didn't see this, go find it on social media. But in the middle of Tito's presser, Bob walks through a random door and basically is like singing
points at Tito
and said, "There's a winner. That guy knows how to win. He's a winner."
And he leads a team full of leaders and winners. Yeah. Talking about the current roster, not like the 2004 Red Sox or not like the Big Red Machine, like the 2026 Reds.
It just seems that was very odd. It was very odd.
I saw that, and it was Greg Kuffner. He actually posted the video, and I think it was actually posted by C. Trent on Instagram, but Greg Kuffner was sharing it, and I just commented on it, and I was like, gross. Because it feels, and I don't know, like, I've never met Bob. I've never met Krall, but it feels like they think we're dumb. They do not address the fan base as though we understand what is going on. They are trying to put lipstick on a pig and constantly tell us that we don't know what we're looking at. They're good. They're going to go on a run.
I don't think you're allowing for maybe a more likely possibility. And that possibility is that that's what they really think. And that's why things don't get better, because that is their assessment of this team. That is their assessment of this collection of coaches and players that they have amassed in the city of Cincinnati, that their true, honest to God opinion of this organization is that it's full of leaders and it's full of winners. And we've just had some bad luck with injuries. That might really be what they think.
And the problem then you ask is like, all right, the bad luck with injuries, is it going to stop? Because if injuries keep happening, then it's no longer bad luck. It's just a pattern. And you've got to recognize patterns, and it doesn't feel like they know how to recognize patterns. Like they're watching this team on the field, and they're like, well, we don't have our ace. We haven't had our ace for much of the year. He's only pitched 5 games, and we don't have our number 2 pitcher because he constantly keeps getting blisters. But gosh golly gee, if we did, boy, think of how good we'd be. Like, I'm tired of talking about bad luck. It feels like if every year you have bad luck, then it's not bad luck anymore. It's just bad management.
Yep.
Yeah. That's the depressing part about all of this. It's just like, I want to root for Sal Stewart to hit every home run. I want to root for Elly De La Cruz to get on base 4 times a game. I want to root for Chase Burns to have 12 strikeouts a game. I want to root for Emilio Pagan to save all of the games. And I know that there's these other guys that are up top in the boxes watching down on the games and saying, say exactly, we told you, this thing was great. Oh, Yeah, everybody was worried about it. And see if they believe that, then why did you trade Nate Lowe? And why did you trade Caleb Ferguson? It just doesn't make sense.
And on that note, that's where we're going to wrap it up for today. Thanks, as always, for making Locked On Reds your first listen each and every day. For the audio folks, go check out Locked On MLB. Sully's got you covered over there. Mike Stanton's got you covered over there. And the folks at MLB Game Night have you covered, watching every single game, every single night, so that you don't have to. For the video folks, we're going to send you over to Locked On's first ever 24/7 national YouTube channel, where all of the experts of the entire network are talking ball 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Jeff and I will be back in your feed tomorrow, where we're going to take a look at what is realistic for the guys that are still here to do the rest of the way in 2026. We'll have that for you. Click subscribe, click the notification bell. We will see you tomorrow to keep you locked on Reds every single day.
You know, the job that's been done this year kind of feels like the job of a coach, not a manager.
We're going to have to tell that story someday.
Yeah, I think we will.